to do is introduce our speaker today, Brian Culp with Morgan Insurance Group, and he's going to share a presentation for us about why everyone needs to be aware of needing cyber insurance.
Okay. Can everyone see my screen share there? Okay, wonderful. So the title of this is You Got Hacked, What Now? And it's you got hacked because the chances that you're going to get hacked are 100%. At some point, you are going to get hacked. It is no longer if, but when. There are a lot of examples right now. You're out there, you see in the news where the pipeline earlier this year got hacked, and that caused gas prices to go up. Not too long ago, there was a hack on a farm in Iowa, and they're talking about whether meat prices will go up. You see all of these big companies, and people think, you know what, it's not going to happen to me because I'm not a big company. And that is just not the truth. There we go. So there are a lot of ways that your computers get hacked at your business, and most of them have to do with your employees. Employees are wonderful people. They are there to help you grow your business, but there's a good chance that they aren't paying a lot of attention sometimes when they're going through their email. Or if they get fired, they might be wanting to do things to your computer. So here's one example. An employee stole a donor's credit card information from a nonprofit that resulted in a forensics investigation, a lawsuit, and a fine. The per record insured cost for that incident was $50,000. You notice those words, per record. That isn't the total loss was $50,000. That is per record. That is one of the things that you have to be careful about when you look at your policy. I don't know why my computer's not letting me move. There we go. Another example. When a server and a hard drive maintained by a company acquired by an insured were stolen, sensitive data for nearly 45,000 individuals was compromised. The insured was provided $1 million to cover notification, public relations, and other incident-related services. And one of the things I get from people when I tell them that they need to look at their payment card systems is, oh, that's covered by the payment card system. I don't need to worry about my credit card numbers getting stolen. One of the things you need to do is take a look at the contract that you have with your PCI. Your PCI has written into the contract that you are responsible for cybersecurity, that you are responsible for making sure that their credit cards don't get hacked. Now, if it's stored on their server, that's correct. Anything stolen from their server is going to be covered by their cyber insurance. But if the hack happens on the unit that's sitting on your right next to your cash register, or if it happens in between, there's a good chance that you're going to be responsible for that. One example, Strack and Till had about half of its 21 stores temporarily closed in November 2018 during one of the busiest grocery shopping periods of the year, because cashiers could not check customers out. The cyber attack encrypted its point of sale and phone systems. They were seeking a ransom to get them working again. Now, that's a case where it was ransomware, which means that they couldn't do anything. And there's a couple of different pieces of insurance that you have to have in order for that to be covered. The cyber is one of them. Business income is the other. Ransomware and cyber extortion. This is the biggest one that you see right now. It is the one that you hear about the most. This one, I said July, but it was actually July 2019. About $132,000 worth of Bitcoin was paid by LaPorte County to ransomware hackers to regain access to part of its computer systems. Originally, the ransom was $221,000, but a firm hired by the county was able to talk down the hackers. Insurance will cover $100,000 of the $132,000 that was paid. The people who talked those hackers down were hired by the insurance company. part of the coverage that they had was um, having someone come in and do forensics, having someone determine how many records have been stolen, and then they negotiated with the hackers, and then they went ahead and paid the hackers. So there's a lot of ways that data breaches occur. One is a malicious internet attacker, and these are the things you hear about, the brute force, where someone will come in and they will just click on they'll just guess passwords until they finally get in. Or they also have systems where they will just send packets. They will basically throw things against your firewall until they break through. User error is probably one of the biggest one, where you have people who just have bad passwords, 1, 2, 3, 4. Never use 1, 2, 3, 4. You are asking to get hacked immediately. Loss of theft or loss of the device. So if you lose your phone, there's a good chance someone's going to hack into that and take all the information out of it. If you lose your laptop, same thing. Disgruntled employee, that person that you fired that wasn't happy about being fired, they can very easily hack back into your system and place malicious software into your system. A third-party mistake, someone who has access to your system because they are doing business with you gets hacked, and then that hacker gains access to you through them. And network intrusion. So there's a couple of different coverages that come to mind. If you pick up your insurance policy and you look at it, you're going to see, oh, cyber coverage. You're going to move on with your day and you're going to think you're fine. The problem is there are two types of cyber insurance. The first, the one that is most normally included, is third-party coverages. Third-party coverages go out and help make your customers whole. So if one of your customers gets hacked because of something you did, this insurance policy, the insurance from the third party, will go out and make sure that they are whole. What it doesn't do is pay any of the fines, any of the costs that you have in order to stop the hack from happening. You need first-party coverages for that. So you need to make sure when you look at your policy that you have both pieces. First-party coverages can cover loss or damage to electronic data, loss of income or extra expenses, cyber extortion, notification costs. You're going to have to let all of your customers know that your data was stolen, and damage to your reputation. It's not easy to overcome the thought that their data could get stolen again if you haven't done the things that you need to do. There are a lot of other coverages that you can have on a cyber policy. Terrorism. Some insurers have developed cyber liability policies tailored to specific industries. The tech industry has a lot of coverages that you're probably not going to have at Urban Air. One of the most important things you want to do is to know your policy. Make sure that you have a trusted insurance advisor, someone who's going to sit down with you and not just hand you the policy and walk away. You want to make sure that they review that policy with you, that you understand all of the coverages, and that you have everything that's going to protect you. One of the most important parts of any insurance policy, not just cyber, but cyber is a part of this as well, is that the insurance company has an obligation to protect you legally. So if you get hacked and then your customers sue you, they will go to court to help you defend yourself in court. That's true with professional liability. That's true with general liability. They have the obligation to protect you in court. If you don't have an insurance policy, or you don't have the specific type of insurance policy to cover you for the loss, you aren't going to have that. And lawyers' bills, let's face it, they inflate them, and often we're talking about $150, $250 per hour if you have an inexpensive lawyer. This presentation, I put it together in 2018, and I've kind of modified it as I went along. Right now, as of 2019, and they have only increased the prices. That in 2018, the average cost of a cyber attack was $34,000. In 2021, the average price is $200,000 per incident. So it has more than quadrupled in cost if you do have these issues. And as I said before, it isn't just the big guys. Recently, small Indiana nonprofit falls victim to ransom cyber attack. Little Red Door is a small Indiana company. They help cancer survivors and people who are suffering from cancer. They got hacked. Well, I guess this one. See, a management consultancy in Carmel, co-founder of Reveal Risk, talked about Hancock Regional Hospital in Greenfield back in 2018. Their system got hacked. Recently, I was talking with someone about the Brownsburg Library got hacked. The Kokomo Howard County Public Library was hacked. And I don't know if any of the rest of you got this notice, but I got a notice in the mail not too long ago. I don't know if I'll be able to show it to you with my computer camera. No, it won't do it because I got it on blur. The Indiana Department of Health was hacked. So if you went and got tested for COVID or you went and got a vaccine, your information was included in a data breach. Now, what can you do? Of course, you're going to go out and get a cyber policy to protect you against all of these things. One of the issues, though, is you might not know all of the answers to the questions on these complicated applications. This application right here is probably one of the more complicated ones. It's 13 pages, and it is meant specifically for tech providers, for IT companies. Ryan Grimes with My IT Indie is someone that I partner with, and anytime someone looks at this questionnaire and says, I have no idea how to answer these questions, I send them to Ryan, and he goes over it with them, helps them answer it. If they don't have the protections that they need, he can help them with it. He can help them get it. This is the application for ransomware. It's a little bit better, but it is 3 pages, and it also asks a lot of questions that you just might not know the answers to. The price of cyber insurance has gone up dramatically in the last year. So many more companies have gotten hacked, and it used to be you could buy a $5 or $10 million policy, and it wasn't terribly expensive. They're not offering $5 and $10 million policies at this point. They are most likely only going to offer you something between 1 and 2 million right now. This is not the website I meant to pull up. Here's the one. Getting a quote is actually relatively simple. I have a website where I can go and put in just a minimal information, and they will give me a quote for what it would cost to cover your business for cyber insurance. You may or may not already have some. I'm happy to sit down with anybody who is unsure of what they do have and review their insurance policy, make sure that they do have what they need, and I'm happy to provide it. But I'm also happy to send that information with you so you can go back to the agent that you're currently using. My goal is to educate as many people as possible about this risk and help them get the coverage whether I provide it or not. So with that, what questions can I answer?
Yeah, Brian, let's see. What are some of the more common like third party ways that a company can be hacked. So at places where there might be like human error or something to do with the human element.
Most malware attacks occur through email. We're getting these emails every day. I get probably 2 or 3 that actually make it through my spam filter. And when I go into my junk mailbox, there's probably 100 more. It's the email that says, "Hey, are you busy? Will you go buy these gift cards for me so that I can give them out?" That's one that happens a lot. Ryan Grimes has a customer and this happened before he was Ryan's customer, actually, came in. So there were several levels between sending out a check and the boss. Someone hacked into Secretary Karen's email and then was able to send the boss an email with an invoice. They created an invoice and they sent it to the boss. The boss came from Karen, who normally creates invoices. He went ahead and set it up to pay. He sent it to the person who writes the checks. The person who wrote the check. They lost $50,000. And that was because of a hack on an employee. One of the things that is happening now is that's really pretty scary is zero click. So most times you think that you have to click on a link, you have to follow a website, you have to do things. Well, there was a vulnerability in Apple software that was allowing zero click. So someone could call your phone. If you answered it, they could hack into your phone. Just by getting the text and opening the text. You didn't have to click on anything. Apple put out a fix 2 weeks ago, and then they put out another fix last week. So if you have not already gone in and updated your iPhones to the latest software, you need to do that because you are vulnerable to those zero clicks if you have not done so. And that is something that is increasing in frequency, is the zero click. I have up here a list of the different types of viruses, and these are all malware attacks. These are the ones that you're probably going to get if you do click on a link that you shouldn't.
Hey, Brian, another question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the ways that are used to threat assess a company to get them cyber insurance?
I'm going to go back to the application here. So an application like this is the biggest thing. They're going to go through and they're going to ask you questions about the type of firewalls you have. They're going to ask you about the training that you give to your employees. They're going to ask how your data is stored, where it is stored, who protects it once it's there and stored. They want to know about this one is for the tech application. So this one is asking the tech provider what types of services they provide. They're going to want to know how many customers you have, and so they want to know just how much information is vulnerable if you do things that you shouldn't. Certainly, they're going to assess your other clients, 5 largest projects in the last year. They want to know who your clients are, who you're doing business with. The number of employees is important because they want to know how many people might accidentally click on that link. Well, there are a couple of ways that IT providers are going about making sure that you don't get hacked. things they're doing to help you protect your business. And you're going to get questions from the insurance companies about whether you're doing those things. Multi-factor authentication is one that I know we have all seen a lot more of recently. This is where you put in your password, but as soon as you put in your password, they want you to put in a code that gets texted to your phone. This is relatively secure because someone else probably doesn't have your phone, probably doesn't have access to that. Air-gapped backups is something that you're seeing a lot more of now as well. Those backups, instead of being just sitting right next to your computer, they're hooked into your computer. Well, they're just as vulnerable if someone hacks your computer because they can hack into the backup right there. So there's an air gap. It is not connected to the system in a way that hackers can get straight into it. And then email filtering, of course, is something that they've been doing, but they are working to come up with better email filters, ways to essentially inoculate you from those things that come in. I know that's a lot of information that I dropped in about 20 minutes. So
it is, but it was very good information, Brian. I appreciate you speaking to us. I think you've answered my questions. My question, oh, I see Kristen. I thought you were on, I see Kristen behind me. I was wondering if it matters what size business it is, but it sounds like it doesn't matter. It could be small or huge. And also something that was interesting is I'm not sure I knew about either one of those hacks that you were talking about, like the hospital and then the other one in Indianapolis. People probably try to keep this under wraps. They probably don't want this on the news. They probably don't want from an embarrassment. Would you agree with that?
I do agree with that. And that is one of the big problems we're having in fighting cyber crime is that people aren't reporting it.
Right. Yeah.
Ransomware attacks happen all the time, and the insurance company will go in and they'll pay it. They will go and they'll put the person back to whole. There is legislation that is out there right now to require companies to report cyber crimes and attacks. Now, I'm on the fence about that. I think it is something that would help us to fight cybercrime, but at the same time, having requirements to report these, it does put it out there where people could be embarrassed by things that happen. But it also creates another level of bureaucracy, something that we have to work to do. There are mid-sized companies that this will create a whole new department for them, and it could be very costly. So I'm interested to see how the federal government structures these requirements as they go about building that.
Right. Well, thank you again. That's very informative. I appreciate that. And I guess I see Kristen now because you weren't on my phone, but your firestorm restoration, your pickup truck was behind me. So you're not in the pickup truck today, I guess. Yeah. Okay. When you.
Does anyone have any other questions for Brian? All right. Well, let's give Brian a hand for his presentation today. Brian, if you would please, can you tell everyone how they could reach out to you if they're interested in learning more or have any other questions they think of later?
Certainly. My email address is bculp@morganinsurancegroup.com. I'm saying it as I type it. Hopefully I didn't type it wrong. No, I did type it wrong. I can't talk and type at the same time. But my cell phone number is 317-850-1336.